Hey there, YouTubers. I'm going to share something with y'all you've probably never heard before, and that is this. Winners always quit. Now, I know you've heard the phrase, quitters never win and winners never quit, right? That sounds good, but it's just not true. See, we love truisms that aren't true, and the reason we love truisms that aren't true is because they're really easy. They don't require a lot of bandwidth. They don't require a lot of attention or intention, but the fact is they do a lot of damage. And there are a lot of truisms that aren't true that people buy into that cost them a fortune or cost them the best experiences of their lives just because they sound good. Well, here's one of them. Time is money. See, that sounds harmless, right? Time is money. It sounds harmless. But the reality is time is not money. So if I were going to write time is money on the board, I would write time is money. Okay, but this is a lie. It's not just a lie. It's a dangerous lie. It's a harmful lie. Now, why is that a lie? Because if I believe that time is money, what I will do, I will go and sell a whole bunch of my time for a little bit of somebody else's money, and I'll blame the world because I can't get ahead because I believed a lie. Or I'll go to Walmart. I shouldn't have said that. But anyway, I shouldn't have said that. I'll waste a whole bunch of time trying to save a little bit of money. I'll drive 15 miles to save 3 cents on a gallon of gas because I believe the lie that time is money. Now, the reality is this. This is the real equation. But it's not even the full equation. What is that? Time is more valuable than money. Time is greater than money. If I believe that, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use as much money as necessary to buy back the rest of my life. Right? See, rich people realize that time is not money. Time is infinitely more valuable than money. That's the full equation. Time is infinitely more valuable than money. Now, if you want to say something about time and its relationship to money, you want to say time is infinitely more valuable than money. In fact, wealth is measured more in time than it is in money. Have you ever thought about that? People say, well, Myron, is this a get-rich-quick scheme? My answer is always the same. You better hope so, because you're not going to be here long enough to get rich slow. See, the getting rich quick we've been warned about, which is probably why most people aren't rich, at least one reason. Right? Beware of the get-rich-quick scheme. How come nobody ever said to me, beware of the stay broke for the rest of your life scheme? Because that is the alternative. Right? And so these are what I call truisms that aren't true. But the truism that isn't true today that I want to talk about is quitters never win and winners never quit. But the reality is winners always quit. They always quit because they have to quit what doesn't work in order to start doing what does work. And so one of the most important things winners quit doing is they quit lying. See, lying sometimes feels like a very good short-term strategy. But lying is never a good long-term strategy. If lying is your long-term strategy, you are going to have a very good memory. And so what they do is, first of all, winners quit lying to themselves. They quit telling themselves things they know aren't true to make themselves and people around them feel good because they said that thing that they were, quote, supposed to say, right? And so what happens when if I don't become a winner and quit lying to myself? If I keep lying to myself, I will never have confidence. Why? Because the word confidence comes from the root word confide. And the root word confide means what? To trust. And so you are the only person who's heard every lie you've ever told. And here's why people don't have confidence. They've broken their word to themselves so many times in the past, they can't believe a word they say. But when your word becomes your bond, and you become a person of honor who would rather die keeping your word than live and break it, then you will have a level of confidence that will make you a winner. But not only that, people will have a level of confidence in you that will cause them to believe everything you say because you back up your words with your actions even when it's inconvenient. Scripture says in Psalm chapter 15 that a good man sweareth to his own hurt and changeth not. In other words, he gives his word, finds out that, oh, I should have thought about that first, but I've already said it. I'm going to do it anyway. How many of y'all tracking? Right? And so quit lying. Which brings me to the second thing. They quit making excuses, which is basically quit making excuses. An excuse is nothing more than a relatively sophisticated lie. Now, what's really interesting about excuses is they often show up in threes. But one of the greatest lessons that I've ever learned about excuses, I learned from Jesus. And here's what I learned from Jesus about excuses. You ready? If you don't make them, you don't have to take them. Because most people accept excuses from other people as a down payment on an excuse they intend to make in the future. I wish I had some help in here. and the reality is, when you don't make excuses, you don't have to take excuses. Like, it's okay to call people on the carpet and say, well, that's not what you said. But you said you were going to do it. Now you're giving me the reasons why you didn't do it. I am here to tell you, somebody might say they accept your excuse, but they're always going to remember that you are the person who lets yourself off the hook. And worse than that, you are going to remember that you're the person that lets yourself off the hook. So when did Jesus show me that if you don't make them, you don't have to take them? There's a story in, I think it's in John chapter 5. And Jesus comes to a man who was lame for 38 years and asked him the most insensitive, seemingly mean-spirited, simple question that maybe has ever been asked. He said to this man who's been lame for 38 years. That's a long time. He said, would you like to be healed? I'm reading that story. I'm like, what kind of question is that? Like, who asked people, who's going to come up to somebody in a wheelchair and say, well, would you like to be healed? Who's going to come up to somebody who's blind and say, would you like this? What kind of question is that? It's the kind of question that reveals the truth about the person being asked the question. Because the man did not say, yes, I've been waiting for you my whole life. That's not what he said. He gave a 3-pack of excuses. Or here's this 3-pack of excuses. It's somebody else's fault. I'm doing the best I can, and other people are better than me. By the way, excuses almost never come in ones. Why? Because the person making the excuse knows it's an excuse. So they feel like they have to back up the lie that they just told with another lie that they're about to tell. You say, Myron, what do you mean? What do you mean? Jesus didn't accept that from him. The man said, I have no man when the water is troubled to put me into the pool. That wasn't the question. The question was not about other people. You don't understand. My brothers ain't here. My cousins ain't here. My mama, my daddy, my friends. I don't have anybody to help me in this pool when that water's troubled. But while I'm coming, I'm doing the best I can. Okay, here's what I want you to do. The next time you get your bill from the electric company, don't write a check and put it in the envelope and send it to them. Write an excuse. See how long your lights stay on. You say, what's your point? My point is, excuses never matter. They don't matter. You write an excuse to the electric company, you're going to be living in the dark. You write an excuse to the water company, you're going to be living with no water. Why? Because there's not a business in the world that will accept an excuse in the place of a result. So, he said, I'm doing the best I can. While I'm coming, what did he say? Other people are better than me. Somebody else steps in before me. So other people have the ability, but I don't have it. And here's what Jesus did with his excuse. He ignored it. Like, it's not enough that he just came and asked him this insensitive question. Now, the man gives him like 3 of the best excuses ever. So everybody else's fault. I'm doing the best I can, and other people are better than me. I mean, do excuses come any better than that in a 3-pack? Well, here's what Jesus said. Rise. But what about his excuse? I don't care nothing about that. Get up. Rise. Take up your bed and walk. Rise. It's time for all of us. It's time for you. It's time for me to rise above our excuses. It's time for us to rise above our limitations. It's time for us to rise above our obstacles. And if we're David, rise above our giants. And if we're Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, we rise above our fire. If we're Daniel, we rise above our lion's den. But we rise. It is time for us to get up and stop acting as if the thing that is put before us to show us how strong we are was put there to stop us. So, he said, rise. And then he said, take up your bed. It's time for you to start carrying what's been carrying you. Come on here. Yeah, see, you've been carrying, no. It's time for you to start carrying what's been carrying you. See, all of us can do more than we've been doing. We can become more than we've been being. We can have more than we've been having, but not if we're making excuses. And then he said, walk. You know, I love the term walk. Walk shows, walk is not like running. Walk is steady. Walk is consistent. Walk is put one foot in front of the other. Walk doesn't have to know the end in order to start at the beginning. It doesn't have to be able to see the end. You just start walking. The more you walk, the clearer things become. The farther you walk, the clearer things become. It's like I say to people all the time. If I say, you know what, I'm going to drive from Tampa to Pennsylvania, which I would never do that again, but let's say that I'm going to drive from Tampa to Pennsylvania. And somebody says, Myron, when are you leaving? I'm leaving as soon as I can see the Pennsylvania state line. When do I get to Pennsylvania? Never. Why? Because I don't get to see the Pennsylvania state line until I actually take action. So many people are wanting to succeed, and they're ready to start as soon as they know how it's going to work out. As soon as they can see the finish line, they'll get started. But the reality is, you don't get to see the finish line until long after you've left the starting gate. That's how life works. So you stop making excuses, you stop lying, and you stop being distracted. This is one of the most critical. Stop being distracted. This is one of the most critical components of success. Winners stop being distracted. The reason winners win is because other people are distracted. Now, here, this is one of the most mind-blowing concepts I've ever discovered. The primary difference between people who succeed at a very high level and people who live mediocre lives or fail and just stay on the struggle bus their whole life, people who succeed focus on intention and ignore distraction. People who fail and struggle and live mediocrely, those people, they focus on distraction and ignore intention. Now, I'm not just going to say that. I'm going to define some words. When I say they focus on winners focus on intention and ignore distraction. So winners quit being distracted. What is distracted? Here's what the distraction is. Anything that you give attention and intention to that does not move the needle in your favor. That's why when my children were small, we didn't have television. You say, why? Because you didn't want your children watching TV? No, I didn't want me watching TV. I didn't have a television. There's no universe. And back then I would say, if you're making less than $20,000 a month, you shouldn't even have a television. But if you're making less than $50,000 to $100,000 a month, what are you doing watching TV? People say, well, Myron, don't you want to see them? I don't want to see them. I want to be them. I don't want to watch somebody on TV. I want somebody watching me on TV. I don't know. Well, I'm more of a behind-the-scenes person. Okay, be a behind-the-scenes person, but be behind the scenes of something that's going to make your life better, right? Watch other people. I want to watch other people live their dreams while I'm living a nightmare? No, thank you. I became hyper-focused on the objective of freeing my family from the bondage of poverty. And I didn't care what people thought. Myron, you're obsessed. Thank you. It's the nicest thing anybody said to me all day. Myron, all you care about is money. Okay, whatever you have to tell yourself. If that's what you have to tell yourself to make yourself feel like you're better than me, do you, boo? Say, what's your point? My point is, I'm focused on things that move the needle for my family. Winners quit being distracted. Only focus on intention. Only give attention and intention to things that move the needle. If it doesn't make my life better, why am I doing it? By the way, when you do that, you will be 1 in 1,000 who do that. Because almost nobody does it. Almost nobody. You know, it's why Price's Law exists. Price's Law, the 50% of the production of any domain is produced by the square root of that domain. So if you have 4 salespeople, 2 of them are going to produce half of the revenue. But if you have 9 salespeople, 3 are going to produce half the revenue. And if you have 100, 10 are going to produce half of the revenue. And if you have 10,000, 100 are going to produce half the revenue of your company. Why? Because the other 9,900 focus on distraction and ignore intention. You can literally set yourself apart from the majority of human beings alive on the earth if you will just focus on intention and ignore distraction. Kobe Bryant became Kobe Bryant because he focused on intention and ignored distraction. Michael Jordan, same thing. Tiger Woods, same thing. It doesn't matter. People who elevate to that level. Elon Musk focuses on intention and ignores distraction. So, quit lying, quit making excuses, quit being distracted. Number 4. Quit being derailed by the, you ready? Disruption that follows intention. Stop being derailed by that. Stop being a full-grown adult and being surprised when you decide to do something good and disruption shows up. Well, of course disruption shows up. That's how life works. In what way does life work that way? Every way. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth became without form and void, and darkness upon the face of the deep. Do you think God just put that in there because he was just saying, well, I want chapter 1 to be more than one verse? He's showing us the process of creation in Genesis. He tells us he created the heaven and the earth. He tells that in Genesis 1:1. Genesis 1, verse 2 through 31, that's showing us how he did what he did. Why? Because he made us to be like him, and he's giving us a pattern. And here's what he said. Creation begins with intention, and then disruption follows intention. And then the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the water. Then you have to find a source of inspiration. And God said, let there be light. And so now we need to find illumination. I need to learn something that I didn't know before. And God separated the light from the day, and the light he called day, and the darkness he called night. We need separation to completion. In the evening, we need separation. But then he said, in the evening and morning were the first day, segmentation to completion. God didn't save any of day one's work for day 2. He gave us a pattern. Disruption always follows intention. It's so fascinating. Joseph had a dream. What happened after that? His brothers threw him in a pit. They wanted to kill him, and then some Midianites came and took him out of the pit and sold him into slavery. How's that for a dream? Are y'all tracking? And then, as if that's not enough, right? Because it gets more better. David gets anointed to be the king of Israel, and when David's anointed to be the king of Israel, Saul spends like 12 years with a contract on his life. Disruption always follows intention. I shared this with a friend of mine last night on the phone. Jesus gets baptized in the Jordan by John the Baptist. Get it? Baptized. Okay, never mind. He gets baptized in Jordan by John the Baptist. And he comes up out of the water, the heavens open, the Spirit of God descends on him like a dove. A voice from heaven says, "This is my beloved Son in whom I am well pleased." Guess what it says right after that? Then guess what the next word is? Immediately. He was led of the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted of the devil. When you decide to do something good, the first thing that shows up is something difficult. Yeah. Stop being derailed by that. That's why winners win. They expect it. They know, here's what losers, people who don't win, here's what they think. Oh, this is a sign I'm going in the wrong direction. It's a sign you're going in the right direction. The disruption that follows intention shows you're on the right path. You decide to start working out. You haven't worked out in a while. You decide to start working out. You start getting in shape. Guess what? You don't feel stronger first. You feel weaker. Your muscles don't feel good. They feel bad. How bad? Bad enough to remind you every time you try to move, you do this to me again. Huh? And so what we have to do is we have to understand that I can't be derailed by the disruption that follows my intention. It's just how life works. Okay, cool. So I don't know what you do. I'm prepared for. I expect the best, but I'm prepared for the worst. I'm always prepared for the disruption that follows my intention. Stop being derailed by that. Number 5. These are 7 things people do, winners do, quit, that other people don't quit. Quit being consumed with external circumstances. What does that mean? Quit being consumed with what other people think about you. Quit being consumed with what other people are doing. But so-and-so's doing this. I don't want them to get ahead of me. No one, do you understand? No one can get ahead of you. Nobody else has your assignment. I have no competition. I do not now, nor have I ever in 61 years had any competition. The only person God made to be Myron Freddie Golden, who teaches business from a kingdom perspective, is me. And I'm not competing with you. And if you want to compete with me, if that's how you want to waste your time, do you, boo. But I'm not doing that. I'm not going to compete with anybody. I'm not, oh, but they're getting ahead of me. Well, depends on how ahead is measured. Like, it depends on how you measure success. I measure success like this: discovering God's purpose for my life, developing myself for that purpose, and then deploying myself in that purpose. And when I do that, I win. Oh, so it has nothing to do with how close I am or far away I am from somebody else and what they're doing. Absolutely nothing to do with that. Isn't that exciting? So quit being consumed with external circumstances. Really interesting. Politicians are great liars. I think that's the definition for politicians. Anyway, politicians are great liars. And they always tell you they're going to solve a problem that they can't solve. And then people believe them. Like, what are you? I just want to make an announcement during all election campaigns. What are you, a lemming? Like, do you believe just everything and anything anybody says? I'm gonna solve income inequality. You lying. Because income is the result of something. Income is the result of value creation. So in order to solve income inequality, you have to solve value creation inequality, and you can't do it because everybody don't care to create the same amount of value. Right? But anyway, winners don't care about contributing factors. They ignore them. And it doesn't matter. You are only a victim when you decide to be one. That's what I mean. But Myron, you don't understand. Racism exists. I know, but you don't have to. You're only a victim of racism if you decide to be a victim of racism. But sexism is real. Okay, fine. But you're only a victim when you decide you're a victim. What does that mean? There are two types of factors in the world. There are contributing factors and there are determining factors. And I have discovered that determining factors matter and contributing factors just give somebody the ability to make an excuse and something to be distracted with. Say, how can I tell the difference between a determining factor and a contributing factor? I almost said a detributing factor. I almost made up a new one, right? How can I tell the difference between a contributing factor and a determining factor? Here's how. Contributing factors are all outside of me. Determining factors are all inside of me. By the way, it's been that way since the beginning of time. I mean, how is it possible that Frederick Douglass, who was born a slave, like, we can talk about racism all we want to, but Frederick Douglass was born into slavery. Basically taught himself how to read. Don't even have time to go. You should read the story. You should read the narrative in the life of Frederick Douglass. Make sure you have your dictionary ready. Okay. Frederick Douglass taught himself how to read, learned a skill, used that skill to make money as a slave, bought his freedom, had it stolen from him, made money again using his skill, and bought his freedom again, and then became the great emancipator. In a time where he was born into slavery, he freed himself and so many others. Why? Because he understood that contributing factors, slavery, is outside of me. Determining factors, my freedom is a must for me. That's a determining factor. When I was a child, I had polio as an infant, and so I walked with a limp. Other kids made fun of me, and like I used to have a chip on my shoulder, and I used to have this attitude. I used to like have this temper that you would not even be able to imagine. And when I realized that me having polio was as critical to my mission in life as any other thing, and then I just embraced it. Because here's what I found out. What you resist persists, but what you embrace becomes grace, and grace is a gift. It's all a gift. Isn't it good? What you resist persists, but what you embrace becomes grace. And I used to resist the fact that I had polio. Why? Because nobody else had it. Like, my brothers didn't have it. My older brother Jeff didn't have it. Mike didn't have it. Rob, Dwayne, Derek, Mark, they didn't have it. They can run. I can't run. And I wanted to be able to do stuff they could do. But I didn't realize if I was able to do the stuff they could do then, I wouldn't be able to do the stuff that I can do now because I would have been distracted for my mission. Like everybody didn't have to have polio to achieve their mission, but clearly I did. And God didn't give me polio, but he ordained that the enemy, that's part of the deal. God uses the enemy. God uses everything. Why? Because he's in control of everything. And God knew something about my life that I didn't realize. In order for my mind to speed up, my body had to slow down. And guess what? It's a gift. It's a gift. And I'm grateful for it. What are we going to do? We keep resisting. Like God keeps giving us gifts, and because the gifts don't have the wrapping on it that we thought the wrapping should be, we resist the gift. A contributing factor is the fact that I had polio. The determining factor is I decided to believe what my parents told me when I was little. You can do anything you want to do. You can be anything you want to be. Okay, I think I'll do that. I'll take that one. Okay, so I don't look at something. I don't ever look at an obstacle and see it as bigger than me. Why? Because it's not. And then winners quit being half-hearted. They don't try things. I'm going to try. So, are you going to be coming to the event? I'm going to try. Why don't you just quit lying and just say, I ain't coming? We can be through, right? Tell me yes or tell me no, but tell me now I got to go. But whatever you do, don't try. Like a try is a lie. A try is a back door unlocked before you ever come in the front door. Nobody ever tries to do anything. You either do it or you don't do it. Yoda was right. There is no try. There's do and don't do. And the last thing winners do is they quit focusing on what and how. And they primarily focus on who and why. Who am I supposed to be? And why am I supposed to be doing the things I'm supposed to be doing? My who is way more important than my how, and my why is way more important than my what. And when I get that, everything changes. Everything changes. You become unstoppable. You become unstoppable. Like incontrovertibly unstoppable. Sometimes I say big words, so I'm not going to do that again. I'm no more promulgated esoteric cogitations. Okay, I'm just going to speak plain English. Okay, and so what happens is I focus on my who. Okay, number one, who is God? For me, that's essential. Who is God? He is the king, but he's not just the king. He's the king who wants to make me a king. Y'all tracking? So that's my first who. Because he is the I am that I am, my I am is an extension of his I am. So everything that I am because he says I am. That's where my identity comes from. My identity is my I am identity, right? What does that mean? Well, see, most people go through life buying into their lie identity. What's a lie identity? That's all the stuff that people when you were growing up told you were not. The culture hypnotic societal mechanism said, you are not tall enough, you are not smart enough, you are not pretty enough, you can't sing good enough, you can't talk good enough, you can't dance good enough, you don't have enough talent, you don't have enough skill, you're too slow, you're not fast enough, you're not enough, you are not enough. That's your identity. Do you understand? You are perfectly manufactured for your purpose, and you're the only one in the history of the world who ever was. How about that for being a one of a kind? Then what you do is you manufacture a my-identity to overcome the lie-identity. And so now you attempt to make people believe you're something that you're not. How many of y'all know what I'm talking about? And so what happens is we try to manufacture this my-identity. We go around flexing all the time because we need people to believe something about us. But when you yield to the I am that I am, and you accept your I am from the one who is an identity, the one who is the ultimate identity, when you receive your identity from him, now you only care about two things, Who does he say I am and who do I know I am? And everybody else can misunderstand me all they want to. I don't even have time to care. Here's what it says. Philippians chapter 2. Let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ Jesus. What mind is that? Who, being in the form of God, he knew who he was. Thought it not robbery to be equal with God. Knew exactly who he was, but watch this. Then it says, but he made himself of no reputation. What does that mean? He didn't care if you knew who he was. He didn't need you to believe in who he was for him to believe in who he was. People say, I don't believe in God. That's fine. He believes in you. Don't believe in him. I am an atheist. Congratulations. You told me who God was before you told me who you are. When you said, I am an atheist, you gave me God's name before you told me your title. That's how essential he is to everything. So that's why I don't have an identity. I don't have an identity. Like, I don't need anybody to think anything about me. I just am who I am and who God knows I am. I don't buy into the lie-identity. The lie-identity of, well, he's black and he's colorblind and he's ADD and ADHD and ABCDEFG. If I went to school now, they send me home with the whole alphabet. Your son has the alphabet. That's what they'd say. Right? I'm colorblind. I'm just dyslexic. And I had polio. He can't run. But I'm uniquely designed for my purpose. See, I'm so cool with that, I don't want to fool with that. I'm cool with it. And so what you have to do is you have to be consumed with your who God is, who you are, who you've been sent to serve. That's a who. Who have you been sent to serve? Because as I understand the purpose of life is to seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness. What is the kingdom of God? I yield my life to God as the sovereign king of my life. He makes me the king over an assignment. I rule over my assignment with sovereign authority. I use the assignment that I rule over to serve the people I come in contact with. That's it. When I meet somebody, when I'm having a conversation with somebody, when I'm engaged with somebody, I am here to serve them. In my mind, I'm here. If I'm at a restaurant and I'm eating food and I've got a server waiting on me, they're serving me food. My endeavor is to serve them love and light and life. That's my goal. That's my objective. That's what I'm focused on. I'm focused on them while they're focused on me. That's how God set it up. When we get that, it changes the game forever. Focus on your who. Then you focus on your why. Why do you do the things you do? And you're going to see another video from me because I'm going to create another video called Why I Do What I Do. Because what I do is relatively unique. Why does Myron talk about business all the time? Why does he talk about the Bible all the time? Why does he talk about money and the Bible? And what do those things have to do with each other? I'm going to do a video called Why I Do What I Do. And then you'll understand it. It'll make sense. It already makes sense to me. If you get it, yay, go team. If you don't, we'll wait for you. You'll catch up. So I hope this video helps you to understand winners always quit, but quitters don't always win. So quit the stuff that's not serving you and helping you serve your people, and quit quitting the stuff that's going to work, and quit the stuff that never has worked. Hope this helps you. Thanks for joining us. Peace out, Cub Scouts.